All right. Hello again and welcome to another episode of the Fun Fans Podcast, the second ever with these visual effects, Bailey. I mean, we didn't lose any listeners with the visuals, so
Well, that's good. We didn't scare anybody off. So
hey,
it's.
yeah.
I feel like I'm at a COVID era Zoom meeting at school every time we get on here.
Yeah. So let's hope we don't ever have to do that again though. That's for
No
sure,
kidding.
but we do appreciate everybody tuning in. I want to say obviously what's up to Bailey. Hope everybody's having a great day. This will be our first full episode with both video and audio. Had a little trial run last time and that seemed to go well, but it's kind of hard to believe that we didn't lose any listeners. But speaking of things hard to believe, our Fun Fans podcast has been picked up by the Fanboys Fangirls Sports Podcasting Network. Once again, we're excited about that. So if you're a true sports fan, the Fanboys Fangirls is perfect for you. Find all of our various nationwide podcasts and other sports media at thefanboys.com. And on most all social media, you can find The Fanboys. And The Fun Fans is the official podcast for Clemson fans. As always, and more specifically, Fun Fans Podcast is brought to you by, since we have visuals, we're old school, right, Bailey?
That's right.
Rubens. I'm sure there's some digital way to put a sign somewhere.
We're gonna
But
figure
hey,
it out.
we're old school. But hey, the Fun Fans has always been brought to you by Rubens Food, Sports, Spirits, and Catering. The best wings around with 2 locations in the upstate, 1083 Batesville Road in Greer and 11028 Anderson Road in Piedmont, South Carolina. Find them at rubensc.com. It's simply a great place to eat for all sports fans. So you're also never going to believe what you're going to hear on the podcast today, okay? This is the podcast that everybody's been waiting for. Bailey and I are going to put our 2 cents worth on the intense. Hopefully it won't turn into an argument. Just being honest, we don't know what the other one's going to say about these very heated, opinionated topics.
Yeah, we're not gonna talk politics, but we will talk NIL and transfer portal.
Yep, we're going to get into the NIL transfer portal and some opting out. And just as a disclaimer, all opinions expressed are those of either mine or Bailey's, and they are pretty much on point. So,
Yeah, there are opinions, but they're right, so you need to listen to them.
yeah. So that's right. Hey, but real quick, we cannot have the official podcast for Clemson fans without talking about what has happened with Clemson football recently. How about former TCU offensive coordinator Garrett Riley is now in the same position for the Tigers? What do you think about that, B?
Well, Lincoln Riley, his older brother is the coach at Southern Cal. Let's just go through the last 11 years of his life, okay? All right, he graduated college. He was a quarterbacks coach at a high school in Texas. Since then, he's been a running back coach at Augustana College in Illinois. That was 10 years ago.
Okay.
He's been an ECU grad assistant, a Kansas analyst and quarterback coach, the running back coach at App State, and then he was promoted to offensive coordinator, but he left to be the offensive coordinator at SMU, and then he left with the TCU coach from SMU to go to TCU, and now he is 33 years old, and he is the offensive coordinator at Clemson University, where he has 83 or 4,000 assistant coaches every week help him with the play call duty. He makes $1.75 million. And if you think about 10 years ago, he was probably making $20,000. So he is definitely on the fast track. He just won the top assistant in the country award, the Broyles Award, and TCU had the 9th highest scoring offense in the country. So with Clemson's defense and some of the guys that are coming back and some of the guys they signed, I'm looking forward to seeing what this young man can do, because you and I are much older than he is. And but hey, let's just talk about the timeline for how this all went down.
All right.
At 4:30, and I'm guessing times. I read the article, but you know what? I didn't write anything down. 4:30 in the afternoon, they say, all right, Streeter's not coming back.
Mm-hmm.
By 5:30, this guy's on a plane headed to Pickens County Airport, and a private plane. And he lands by like 7:30. So this was in the works.
Definitely.
Prior to everything going down. So everybody who's been hating on Dabo, you knew and I knew something had to be done.
Right.
All right, we don't talk about it. We don't throw coaches under the bus. That's their job. That's not our job, or at least I don't. But he was working it the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he was probably out there at the national championship. They have, you know, they go out there and mill around and shoot the stuff, and he was probably working on that while all that was going on. So it was, you know, Dabo's always pulls a card out of his sleeve every now and then.
I would say been working on that well before the national championship game itself. I think Dabo has a little bit of a history, meaning a positive working relationship, like sharing ideas, that kind of thing with Lincoln. So
right.
There could have been conversation starting as far back as, you know, late in our regular season. So, but it definitely was going on and went down very, very quickly as soon as they finished up. The Horned Frogs finished turning in the jock straps after the natty, for sure.
Yeah, this is his first real, like, SMU's offense was really good when he was there too, but this is his first real, okay, dude, you are in the spotlight. All right, because TCU snuck up on everybody. And prior to that, he hadn't been anywhere that's like a Clemson or, you know, another big school.
Correct. So my 2 cents worth on that is, you know, welcome to the South Carolina State retirement system. Of course, I'm sure he's putting in a little more than you and I have been putting in.
Yeah.
I want to wish Brandon Streeter the best. And I look forward to I trust Dabo, and I look forward to my next tailgate at the Valley. Go Tigers. So it is exciting this time of year. It's I don't want to say it's odd, but, you know, it's exciting to all of a sudden the vibe of being a Clemson fan went from about next year to, okay, spot the ball. So folks are ready to at least
let's go.
See how it's going to be,
because you know, sure, some guys are coming back, big time recruiting class. You know, that's what Clemson does, and you know, it's Carolina had some guys leave, and we'll talk much more about that later.
Yeah.
So it's, you know, it is what it is. It's exciting.
Yep, we're excited. So, all right, the other thing that we cannot move to our important topics without bringing it up are the men's basketball. How about the Tiger basketball team, babe?
Picture Brad Brownell right behind me.
There he is, 400 wins, 7-0 in the ACC, leading the conference early in the season, but leading the conference by 2 games. I mean, I asked you last time, and you were saying they're legit. Now, Duke was ranked 24th, and I know Coach K's going and all that kind of stuff, but Duke's still Duke, and it was at Little John, but I mean, that was an intense game. Had to come back. It was tooth and nail. I think we trailed by 1, 2, 3 points the whole game until late. PJ Hall had a big time game, and how about those Tigers?
Well, I can tell you this, that Clemson did not get big games from Hunter Tyson or Chase Hunter, and those are 2 of the most improved players in the ACC. All right, PJ Hall can play. He's not even 100% from his injury
right
yet. And what has kept Clemson, they're now ranked 19th in the country, what has kept them from being ranked is a really, really bad loss to the Gamecocks by 2 early in the year when PJ played. I mean, it was like in the first week in November. Mm-hmm. Why are we playing South Carolina the first week in November?
It's Monday. I mean, I don't know.
Who knows? But PJ played like 10 minutes. All right, so and the Gamecocks are now not doing well. Got beat by 30-some points to Texas A&M Saturday, but that's a really bad loss. The other 2 losses are not that bad, but it's taken a while for people to kind of see, hey, these guys are pretty good. We don't have any great wins, but the meat of our ACC schedule is getting ready to come up. So Tuesday night, tomorrow night at Wake Forest is a big one because Wake Forest is really good. And then Saturday at home against Virginia Tech, Mike Young ties to your area, Spartanburg, Wofford College.
Yep.
Great guy, great coach. And they'll be ready to play Saturday, and I will be in Little John Saturday
in the house
game. That's right.
There you
But
go.
yeah, they have 13 ACC games left. Are they going to go undefeated? I doubt it. But barring injury and anything major happening, this team's got a chance to do Sweet 16, something like that. And if Clemson made the tournament every year, everybody probably be happy.
Oh, and if it was normal for us to make the tournament Sweet 16, that kind of thing, this wouldn't be such a big deal. But it is really exciting just to have a very, very competitive basketball team with a chance at some championship, whether it's regular season or whether they get into the conference tournament, or and making it to the Sweet 16 is somewhat of a championship in of itself when it comes to NCAA basketball. So I'm definitely excited about that. And I just want to point out that Stripe Out in the John sounds more like the title to one of our podcasts. But
yeah, hey. Well, hold your thought real quick. I'm a guy who has watched Clemson basketball religiously for 40 plus years. I can remember when I was a kid, they would always finish 8th. There were 8 teams. First round of the tournament in Greensboro, they would play North Carolina at 12 o'clock on Friday. I'd try to get it to my teachers at school to turn it on. And every kid in this area that thought they knew anything about basketball loved the Tar Heels. I had to deal with that forever. And when I was at Clemson, we would just say, hey, let's go to the game. We'd walk from our dorm to the game 15 minutes before tip-off, get our student ticket, go sit right down behind the other team's bench. Yep. Well, that's not the case now, and that's good.
That's very good.
And, Brownell does a great job of always defending him to people, and 400 wins is hard to do. I don't care where you coach.
That's
exactly enough.
Right.
That's enough about that. That's my 2 cents.
Enough basketball, except to bring up that I can't believe J-Do is not the guy throwing out the shirts anymore. J-Do as himself, MC, entertainer, entrepreneur, pep rallies, corporate events, game shows, fundraisers, galas, etc. Just put that man on the mic and let him liven up the party. Not only is J-Do a friend of mine, I've seen him work, and you and your organization will not be disappointed. Anytime you add J-Do to your function, you can find him at itsjdo.com and on all forms of social media at itsjdo. Have you seen where he's been this week, Bailey?
I have not. I'm sorry.
He's out there in like Utah or someplace snowmobiling and posting pictures of just gorgeous frozen winter wonderland with the river running. Oh, it's unbelievable. So, hey, it's worth finding J-Do on social media just to see those pictures. And, definitely check him out. So here we go we're going to try to keep this in some kind of order, but they all are related in some kind of way. So if the conversation seems to get a little bit mangled, that's just going to be okay, because that's what it is. We're going to go NIL, stands for name, image, and likeness. For those of you scoring at home, transfer portal, and opt-outs. And when I say opt-outs, I'm referring to bowl games, etc. And this is with college football. They do name, image, and likeness with other sports, but we're going to focus on college football. And we're going to give our opinion on what we think about that, and also who we think the winners and the losers were this past season. So starting with NIL. So name, image, and likeness. When this was first introduced and was kind of a thing, the name, image, and likeness to me made a little bit of sense. Okay. Because if the kid is getting a cut of what is being sold with his or her name, image, or likeness on it, I mean, who shouldn't get a piece of that?
Right.
However, I think it got out of hand already right off the bat, first and foremost. So maybe to back up a little bit, the fact that college sports is supposed to be an amateur sporting event. The kids, it shouldn't cost them or their families anything. Bailey and I, with kids, they know, to play a sport, buying a meal here, paying for gas there, and that kind of thing. If you're going to bring a kid on scholarship, sure, it shouldn't cost their family anything, and err on the side of the kid putting a little bit of change in their pocket. But they're getting a free education, they're getting free food, they're getting free clothes. And so we're going to bring in the argument. Personally, I don't think they should be getting paid anything. If they want to get paid, they should go pro. And the argument is, well, they can't go pro. And if I was the NCAA, I would simply say, that's not my fault. You should be meeting with the NFL. The NFL, that's the organization that makes them wait 3 years. Right. So why did the NCAA, well, because the NFL is king, right? We all know why. If the NFL, they have their way. So, okay, so we're going to do some name, image, and likeness. Okay, well, that's not so, that makes some sense. We're going to sell the jersey that says Lawrence on the back. Maybe Trevor should get a piece of that. That's kind of okay. That's not what happened. It is literally turned into pay for play, and that's still against the NCAA rules. So everything that everybody knows is going on is against the NCAA rules. So reeling something like that back in seems somewhat impossible, maybe. But if they don't do that, they're going to have to change the rules. And last thing I say about this is the argument of the school making money off of the kid. Sorry, I don't see it that way. And here's why. Just to point out a few examples. One of Clemson's athletic facilities cost $55 million to build. Colorado recently opened up a $156 million athletic facility. The University of Florida recently opened up a $90 million just for football athletic facility. We're building a female only, I don't even know how many millions of dollar facility. Then you go back to the decades and decades of the money that has been put in by the university, by the former students, by all the donors that has built the platform that allows athletes like Trevor Lawrence, ETN, etc., to show themselves for 3 years and then move on to the NFL. So I don't see that they're making money off of the players. Really, it's if you did a numbers comparison of think about how much money has the University of Alabama spent to build their football program and get the name. You can't even put it's unfathomable the dollar amount, and to say that they're making money off of any one athlete that shows up for 3 years, in my opinion, is ludicrous. So that's just, to me, that's not even an argument, but nobody wanted to go there. And, the school is providing the multi-billion-dollar, decades-old historic platform for the student athlete to show their skills and then move on to the pros. So I don't think they should have been getting anything in the first place, but if they were going to do anything with the NIL, they should have literally stuck with dollar amount, like a commission percentage of name, image, and likeness.
Yeah. So, boy, you put a lot of thought into that. That was
I
good.
did. Sorry. Yeah.
That's okay. You can write it down, whatever today is, January the 16th, 2023. Something's going to be done about this, because you've got guys. I mean, you've got Florida State racking up these players that are leaving. South Carolina lost several players, and they were turning the corner. And these are big-time players, and one of them went to Oregon. The guys that are going to Oregon, there's Nike money involved in that.
Yeah, I know that's right.
Because they're in the shadow, basically, of Nike. But my thing is, Clemson has this the RAIN program, REIGN, RAIN.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a collaborative, a collective. It's educational. It's about forming relationships with businesses. And basically, whether they say it or not, they're trying to do this the right way and pool the money that they're receiving for this for Clemson athletes. I'm with you on. They should be able to have a job if they want one. I don't think they can have a part-time job.
It was too risky. It was always
right.
Too easy to. Yeah.
Maybe they were working 2 hours. We can get paid for 30.
Yeah.
Or showing up, because people, there are rules in place because people broke rules.
Correct. That's right.
There will be rules in place for this because of what it's become in the United States. I mean, it is. College football it is big business. We know that. You didn't even talk about the millions of dollars in television revenue that every ACC school receives because the Clemsons, the Florida States, those teams are on ACC, or the television packages they're just getting millions and millions of dollars.
Right.
But so I did write down a quote from the RAIN website on the Clemson University website, and it just said they were looking at every part of the NIL process, and they were trying to, quote, leverage the power of the Paul.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, the Paul says it all.
Yeah.
But they were trying to do it the right way. So I think the Nick Sabans of the world, the Dabo Sweeneys of the world, those squeaky wheels will get some oil from the NCAA, and because neither one of those guys like it.
So you think they're going to reel it? They're going to dial it back a little bit. They're going to reel it in.
They have to.
They do. I agree. That is, and you know this.
The cost. My daughter's a Clemson student.
Right.
I wish she got something, but she doesn't. That's
right.
Okay.
So
she gets some clothes, some bags, some cool stuff. I mean, she's got plenty of cool stuff, and I'm not complaining. That's not I don't make those decisions. What I'm saying is, let's spread it out a little bit. Let's spread it out.
Therein lies the list of winners and losers. So if we talk about NIL specifically, who do you think, just looking at this past season, if there was a winner from a school standpoint or even individual standpoint, do you see any winners in this situation? And what about losers?
Well, here's the winner and the loser. Okay, Texas A&M thought they were going to win.
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing.
Okay, they spit. Who knows what does some of those kids? And we talked about this before on a podcast. You got guys that are out there in high school, and now you're telling them, "Come on, man, we're going to pay you. We'll give you mom $1 million to put in the bank." Or what? However they do it, I don't even know how they do it.
Who knows?
I mean, DJ was on a Bojangles commercial before they stopped writing NIL on the piece of paper and sent it out to the media. But he's on a Bojangles commercial.
Mm-hmm.
So you can like the way too early top 25's out. Florida State's number 4.
Yeah, and it's not.
Texas A&M was number 4 this past year.
That's right. So, but now the difference, in my opinion, there, probably, hopefully, the Florida State fans are hoping is that Texas A&M did theirs with NIL. Florida State's, well, I guess they're using NIL, but also the transfer portal. I think Texas A&M, it was the incoming recruiting class that they dropped a bunch of dimes on. But yeah, I was going to list Texas A&M.
That's all related.
It's definitely definitely all related.
Transfer to me, and I got some NIL stuff for you.
That's right. And to me, the Texas A&M is definitely a loser. They tried to take advantage of something they thought was going to be a good thing, and it seemed to backfire on them. And to me, that's an example of, and this is a little deep, if folks that may not know me very well, sometimes I get into a little bit of deep thinking, but these kids in general, society as a whole, eventually the NFL are going to be the losers, and nobody's going to see it because those super talented athletes and the NFL are going to continue to make tons and tons of money. But you hide and watch with the number of players not happy with their organization, not getting along with their teammates, not getting along with their coaches. And, most people know that listen to podcasts, you and I are both educators. To me, taking an 18-year-old and once again, provide the platform, give them all kind of swag and food and clothes, and let them go make a gazillion dollars. But we're talking about universities that's supposed to be for an educational. If they were honestly, and this is kind of I've jumped all the way to my overall opinion, they were going to do something like this, they should have just started a farm league or something outside of the universities. That they could have had a one and done and come to the farm league for 2 years and we'll pay you and all that kind of stuff. But I think the other losers are the kids themselves. I think the relationships in the locker rooms have to be different. If coaches and programs aren't really, really careful, like you said, hopefully Clemson's doing it the right way and maybe kind of trying to spread the wealth a little bit. That that could help. And if schools aren't careful, they're really going to hurt, the kids and the relationship between the kids. But even in the example of Clemson trying to do it the right way, and they're not the only one, for listeners out there, I've heard that there are other handful of schools doing something similar, kind of just like Clemson. It's not rocket science type idea.
What do you think Colorado's doing?
Well, yeah, but they're not. They're doing it just however they're doing it. But I think it's a single digit number of schools more might get on board. But the bottom line is, think about this. Where is that money coming from? They're taking the power of the paw. Where did that money used to go? IPTAY. So that money, those donors, they're not giving. If I'm going to give to the new organization, I'm going to take that away from what I was given to IPTAY. So who's losing money when the IPTAY donations go down? Your non-revenue sports. Mm-hmm. All of a sudden, your cheerleading daughter, the rowers, the gymnasts, all those kids are going to have less of, my opinion, at least potentially, revenue for them to come from. So I think the losers in this are going to be the athletes in the non-revenue sports. That'll be the big losers in the whole thing overall. But yeah, Texas A&M's the big loser. Was there a big winner? I mean, if you look at the playoffs, did it seem like the 4 teams that made the playoffs was due to any kind of NIL situation?
I don't know. No, but look, I think it's funny when I'm watching all those bowl games and some guy catches a pass and the announcer goes, "Hey, there's former USC receiver so-and-so making a catch. He spent a year at Missouri and now he's at such and such." I mean, I'm going to go off here for just a second.
Well, we'll time it.
All right. Now we're going to segue into the transfer portal.
All right, let's do it.
Okay with you?
Yes, sir.
This is a reflection of our whole society right now.
Oh, without a doubt.
Okay. We live in a microwave world. Mm-hmm. We want our food done right then. We want our success right then. We want everything. I played all this AAU stuff. I did this. Now I should be a 4-star, 5-star, and I should get to play every minute of every game. When years ago, people would say, I need to work harder.
That's right.
Or I need to roll up my sleeves and get in the weight room and figure out how I can get on the field. I need to go talk to coach, not have my mom call him, and figure out how I can get on the field and help my university win. Now it's almost like you got guys in the locker room going, man, I got to get out of here.
Yeah.
And that's not healthy. And the good coaches that keep them together, good job. Because, Kirby Smart talked about that a little bit, how they were just, their sole focus was to win the national championship again. Mm-hmm. And, there's not any opt-outs, that kind of thing. They may have guys transfer out, but it is what it is. We've got one of the best player in basketball on NC State's team is a transfer from Winthrop. He's a grad transfer, played a year at Clover.
Well, and see, that would have been legal before. A grad transfer wouldn't have to sit out under the old rules. So the transfer.
He could have stayed at Winthrop.
He could have stayed at Winthrop. The transfer portal situation is I completely, and I'm going to promise people just have to believe me that I'm not just copying what Dabo said. Dabo copied me. I've been waiting to say this on a podcast for months, but the argument with the transfer portal was, and it's not like kids couldn't transfer. They just had to sit out a year unless they were a grad student. Well, the argument was, well, the coaches can leave. The coaches can up and go wherever they want. Well, first of all, and this might make some people mad, but maybe we'll get some comments on social media. If you're comparing the coach's situation, who is working their job and earning their livelihood, to the student athlete, then that's oranges and apples. That's not even a thing. Okay. But if that's the argument, then the solution could have been, so, okay, well, if your coach leaves, you can transfer without penalty. Otherwise, you can transfer. You just have to sit out a year. It doesn't cost you another year of eligibility. If you can play 2 more years, you just sit out a year and then you go somewhere else and play 2 more years there. It's just like, it goes back to what you said, the microwave society. Everybody wants the satisfaction right here, right now. They're not willing less and less people are less and less willing to go through a process or the process that it takes to become successful. These kids have unbelievable talent, and they're in the 7th grade with people telling them, "Oh, you're going to be a star one day. You're going to do this one day," and they fill their heads full of stuff, but and it's just not good. So maybe should have prefaced this, for any new listeners. So Bailey and I, we're Gen X folks. Okay. We're not youngsters, but we're not old. There's not 2 boomers sitting up here talking about, we remember the leather helmets. We're educators. Yeah. We're educators. We've coached kids for 20, or a combined 50 plus years of, thousands and thousands of kids coming through our school or team or program or whatever. And you see these things happen, and you see how the easy way out is never the good way out. It teaches a kid the wrong lesson. And we also are parents. So we've seen, we've paid for college, and our kids have paid for college, and you want them to earn something. And the same thing goes for, they've literally belittled the education itself. I mean, that's pretty much shot to think that a student athlete, at least those that have the skill to potentially go to the next level, to think that they're going to school for the education, that's gone. That might have been gone, a handful of years ago, and that's just unfortunate, in my opinion. But I tell you what's not unfortunate, if you see me taking a sip every once in a while, is any product that you will get from Diamond Etched Products. Look at that. Look at that detail.
That is nice.
Look at that. Yeah. Hey, isn't that something? Look here. Water bottles, custom made, diamond etched, diamond or laser engraving process, and they can put almost any design on items such as license plates, yard signs, tumblers, water bottles, and more for a high quality, forever lasting, custom engraved product. Check out Diamond Etched Products at diamondetchedproducts.com. For inquiries and or orders, email Jalen at diamondetchedproducts.com. So we're still in the middle of this conversation. We hadn't talked about opt-outs, I think, specifically.
Time out.
What you
got?
I
feel like I need to raise my hand like a little chat thing on Zoom meeting.
Yeah,
there's not one. The biggest losers, or some of the biggest losers in the transfer portal situation, are high school athletes.
Oh, without a doubt.
Okay, because somebody asked me the other day, why do you feel that way? Well, because number one, I see it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we have kids that, I got offered by this school, but I really think I'm better than that. I want to go to this school. Buddy, if you get an offer, you better take it, because there's hundreds of people in the transfer portal. And if I'm a college coach and I've got a kid who's spent a year in a program, he understands what it takes to play college football or basketball or whatever. He understands the rigor, the weight room, the academic side, yada, 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 and he's ready to play. If I'm trying to rebuild or a program or make a move, I'm going with that kid if they're of equal ability. Another thing that's hurt along with the transfer portal situation at the same time is the COVID year.
Yeah.
Okay, that's the thing. All right. High school recruits are the ones suffering right now. I've seen that firsthand. And if you may or may not know that if you don't work in a school, but I've seen it. So it's a real thing, and it's hurting high school kids. But high school kids out there who are watching, sign it. Go get that education.
Yep. And reach out to the Fanboys is also partnered with Sports Edge. I may have said that wrong. I wasn't prepared for that, Bailey. But that's one thing our new network does, is helps high school athletes. So if you're out there, we can plug you into some folks that can help you with that as well. So the opt-out. So I'm gonna say this. Some people say it'll never get that bad. You think about this, that, and other. 10 years ago, I never would have imagined a player opting out of a bowl game. And my question about the opt-outs, I understand why they do it, but I don't like it, and I don't agree with it. And I know that some agents, it depends on who the agent is, who they're getting advice from, whether playing in that bowl game is going to help their draft status, or, okay, it's not worth taking the risk of getting hurt. But the bottom line is 2 things. First of all, if we're going to be realistic, and it's not an amateur sport anymore, and we're paying these kids to play, they need to play. And so where do you draw that line? Okay, if we're going to go down that road, if you're getting paid to play, you need to play. maybe you're not one of the kids that's getting paid to play. Okay. If you're not one of the kids getting paid to play, you're probably not opting out for the NFL draft. Okay. So that's one way to look at it. The next thing is, where does it end? So the Orange Bowl offers, they have deals now. There's contracts. Hypothetically speaking, where would a team get their players if half the team would have opted out?
I'm with you 100%.
Right now, it's like there are no parameters. There's nothing to stop. Well, that'll never happen. Who would have thought we had our first player this year opt out of the playoffs? One of Ohio State's players opted out of the playoffs. Playoffs.
Hey,
how do you opt out of the playoffs?
Well,
Florida State or Florida, I think Florida State is experiencing the first NIL holdout ever. Come on. So
he could hold out all he wanted to. He'd be holding out for somebody else. I think next, because there's another guy out there. Yeah. There's another one out there. I promise
Exactly. So I don't. There are going to have to be more parameters put on this, and my opinion on the opting out is I don't think it helps the kids. I think it hurts the kids. But people are telling them different, that people that know more than me. But the bottom line is you're going to have to draw a line somewhere. And, if you have an NIL deal, if I own a business and I've donated or hired or done a commercial for, a quarterback or something for my team, for Clemson, if Cade was a paid doing commercials for the Fun Fans podcast,
which he would be one day.
That's right. I would not want him opting out. Oh, okay, that's not what I paid you for, young man. I paid you to throw touchdown passes, not to opt out.
He'd be lucky to get enough to go to Chick-fil-A.
Yeah, so it is right now. The NCAA's turned into the Wild West. It's not amateur sports anymore. It's somewhat disappointing. I think it's hurting kids more than it's helping kids. And I agree with Bailey. Bailey seems more optimistic about they're going to dial all this in and reel it back and do what they should do. And I hope they do. But, in my experience, once you allow something, it's really, really difficult to bring it back in. So, but we'll see.
Well, it's going to be done. Just remember, you heard it here.
That's right. Something's going to be done, and it might take time. They didn't take enough time getting it right, phasing it in or whatever.
Figuring it out,
that kind of thing. So even if it takes some time to get it right, hopefully they'll get it right. And
hindsight's 2020. We know that, and it was a good idea, done correctly. But like you said, let's work out the details first, and then if those details don't work, let's tweak the details to find the right mix. And I think that's where they're headed.
Now, last point. For the folks that say this is ruining college football, a lot of folks our age and most folks older than us, maybe some folks younger, I don't think it's ruining college football. I think it's obviously changing college football. 50 years from now, when you and I are either dead and gone or just too old to even turn on a computer,
I'll be out, buddy.
College football will still be a big thing, a big money maker with all kind of viewers. But those folks that were raised, think about any 5-year-old right now, they don't know any different. When they get into the middle school, high school, and they're keeping up with players, that's just going to be normal to them. So it's not going to ruin college. They're still going to love it. They're still going to love the school. It's not going to ruin college football, but it is definitely a different sport than it was just a handful of years ago. And I personally think it's unfortunate. Somehow if they could get the education back into it, and not just the diploma education, but the teaching of here's a process to get you to that big reward, and not just, oh, you graduated high school, poof, you're a millionaire.
Right.
But
there are people trying to do that.
All right. Best wishes. And once again, look at that.
Don't hit your mic with it.
It's kind of I know we're getting used to all this stuff, but
is that going to be on the bloopers?
Yeah, we'll have some. I'm not very good at. I'm not editing either. It's just they're going to get all 40+ minutes of this whole thing.
Maybe not the first part, right?
Yeah. Ever since I hit that record button, that's what they're going to get. And that does pretty much wrap it up. And feel free. Hopefully, this is a little different type podcast that Bailey and I have put out. If somebody has an opinion on something, this thing is going now on YouTube in places. So subscribe to my YouTube. I don't even know the name of the channel, maybe, but I'll put a link to get there. We'll get there. And so subscribe to whatever channel it takes you to. Feel free to comment on the social media. This will definitely be on our Facebook page. And hey, argue with us and stuff, because we're not always right. We're just never wrong.
Right.
Right. Okay. So
yeah, and we'll help you find the truth.
Yeah. No, yeah, we'll get you there. So, and everybody has different perspectives. So that's really good to look at different perspectives. So once again, we do appreciate those of you checking us out each and every week. Subscribe on your favorite podcast platform. Follow on the video, social media, YouTube thing that we're doing now. We're going to have all kind of stuff you do not want to miss. But on behalf of the Fun Fans Podcast, Jay Thriller Entertainment, the Fanboys Fangirls Podcast Network, and Bailey Jackson,
go Tigers.
And thanks for listening.